Okay, and we are good to go. Thank you very much. Once again, I'm Rosanna Williams, and I will be chairing this session. I'd like to welcome you to the Faculty of Health Sciences Postgraduate Orientation and Research workshop for the next 3 days. And without further delay, I'm going to hand over to Professor Paula Mallariri, who is the Director of Research in the Faculty of Health Sciences, to do some opening remarks. Thank you. Over to you, Prof.
Thank you so much, Chair. It's really a great privilege to be here this morning and to see all the beautiful faces. Permit me to welcome you warmly to this 2024 Postgraduate Orientation Program. It's really exciting to note that amidst your numerous engagements and tight schedule, that you've mapped out this time to be here this morning and obviously through the session. Thank you so much for accommodating this. And I would like to especially welcome colleagues that I've seen around, not because they are doing a postgraduate program, but they have seen that it's actually exciting to motivate one another and to encourage even our postgraduates to do STEM, and to all our presenters, facilitators, and obviously our new postgraduate students that actually deemed it fit to be part and parcel of Nelson Mandela University. Thank you so much. And I would like to promise you that the program has been designed in such a way that you would actually sail through those hurdles smoothly. Okay, there are a lot of things that we have encapsulated in the program to ensure that you are equipped adequately for the journey ahead. So please, let's do this together. And I'm sure you're, at the end of the day, going to be grateful you attended this program. Thank you so much to the Research Directorate for all the plans running around and ensuring that this happens. And to our 20+ online delegates, I'd like to say thank you so much for joining. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Prof. Mallariri. Just a slight change to the program for this morning. I'd just like to share with you the 0845 session. Ms. Sidenane will split that session. So it will start with her doing the first bit, then Mr. Mashalaba will come in, and then Ms. Sidenane will come back in again. So that session is just going to be split there. Okay. So without further ado, I'd like to call on our next speaker, Prof. Anneleen Keert, the Director of Learning and Teaching. Thank you very much, Prof. Welcome.
Thank you. I thought we've moved on in years and you wouldn't make that mistake of Anneleen Kriel. That's been a lot of years ago. But good morning, everybody. My name is Anneleen Keert and I am the Director for Learning and Teaching in the faculty. I am also attached to, I always say this, I'm attached to the SDP department as an associate professor as well. My duty here today, can you hear me clearly, is it's a kind of a short one to be able to do. And I would really like to extend a warm welcome to all the postgrad students here in the room and online. And once again, congratulations for being accepted within your different programs. I think that's a lovely and a wonderful achievement that you have. Also to all supervisors that might be attending the session throughout these next 3 days or on any of these days, and as well as all the presenters that made themselves available for these days. You know, Prof. Mallariri, and you will now, I've noticed that she used the word journey, and I smiled because that is the word that I've been putting into what I need to say to you as well. I think her and the team worked very hard to really be able to plan a very thoughtful process, putting this in a thoughtful manner so that as postgrad students, you can have a clear understanding of the journey that you are embarking on, And this is what this program over the next 3 days is about. I think we can all agree that to be able to decide that I'm going to do my postgrad studies, you have to think about this and you have to talk to people and you have to think again. And sometimes we change our mind and then we get to this point and this is where we are. Okay. So over the next 3 days, you will be engaging with what does this journey really entail for me? What does it mean? And what are the things that need to do? So if you look at your day 1, you will be able to see, if you look at the whole program, what you will notice is that the one day builds onto the other, okay? It's like you have a starting point and you have an end, and you have an end. And that all makes sense in terms of what this journey will mean for you. So when you look at today is there to help you have a broader understanding of the bigger context of the faculty. Many of us have studied within the faculty, within different departments, and we may think, okay, but I know this faculty because I've studied within this faculty. But we've engaged with our specific departments in the faculty. And this conversation here today is also helping us to just have a broader understanding of the faculty and what the faculty has to offer and what are the key points in terms of research in this faculty. This is one of the bigger faculties within the university with all the qualifications that we have geared towards contributing to society's health and wellness. And your research is going to make a contribution to that. You will see that in today's conversation, you're going to have focus areas in terms of different support systems, both academic support systems, but also other support systems that help you when things are really going tough. Now, one of these support systems would be, for instance, your library services. And supervisors around here would know that we never really agree with we never agree with a student when you say, I can't find literature for what I need to do. Your relationship with library, who are very keen and always willing to be there for you, is an important one. You're going to have that engagement if you haven't started yet, and you're not going to stop that engagement until the day that you have the final point to your thesis, okay? That's the one thing. The other important relationship that you're going to focus on for today will be the one with your supervisor. Now, we all know in relationships, you know, all parties have a key responsibility to make it work. And one of our presenters today are going to talk about that relationship as well. What does it really mean? What do you need? And also talk about how you guys contract. Those are important aspects. So, you know, the contracting that guide that relationship, as well as the policies of the institution that guide this process. It is fundamentally very empowering to know what are my rights and what are my responsibilities. What are the rights of my supervisors and everybody else, and what are their responsibilities? Once I know that, I have a clear idea of the path that I'm following, okay? When you look at tomorrow, you will see that a lot of your focus for tomorrow is having a deep understanding of how you're going to build your proposal, for instance. I'm not going to go into detail of all the things, but if you look at tomorrow, and somebody tomorrow morning will take you through that again, but will show, will have an indication of what are the steps that I need to take to make sure that I have a solid proposal when I go out. Now, all of us know that we have to give a concept note to convince people that they can actually take me into the program. But once you develop your proposal, you need to convince and I'm going to call it like that, Prof. Malriri, is that a very difficult committee or steps of that committee that this is worthwhile and I can do that. And that is what that process is about tomorrow, to take you through that, you know, able to develop your proposal. It's like making sure that your car is in order before you take a road trip. And that is what tomorrow is about. Once you're done with that, you now need to make sure that you conduct the rest of your research. And that is what day 3 is about. It will take you through all those important steps of your field work. What do I do with the data? And how do I get to a point that I have a powerful research report that contributes to my field, my specialization, and the knowledge for that field? So I want to just end off then by saying once again, welcome everybody to this day. Welcome to all the other days that you are going to be here, for you to make sure that this is a successful 3 days. You only have to do about 3 things. You show up, you engage, and you ask questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. Keet. Much appreciated. Then we are moving on to Ms. Tembeka Sidenane, who is a lecturer and administrator within the Faculty of Health Sciences. And as I've indicated earlier, Tembeka will be touching on who is who in the Faculty of Health Sciences. I've noted that there was a little pop-up message on the chat to the delegate. There are no slides for the first 2 presenters, but Tembeka will be flighting her slides now. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Razana. Good morning, everybody. And my apologies, I'm on research sabbatical, so I think my mind is also on sabbatical. But as introduced, I am Tembeka Sidenane. I'm an associate lecturer with the Health Sciences Research Directorate. And my job today is just to introduce you to the faculty, so the people that you need to know in the faculty, so that you get an understanding of some critical members that you're going to be working with in the next 2 years or in the next 3 years of your postgraduate studies. I've started off with the executive committee, and it's headed by our executive dean, which is Prof. Zugiswa Zingela. In my slides, and I'm hoping that we'll share this, I've hyperlinked to the website, the faculty website, purposefully so, because I want, or I need postgraduate students to orientate themselves to that website, with the hopes that they will get to our research directorate website, which is dedicated for the research in the faculty. And with Prof. Zingela, she's working with the deputy dean, which is Prof. Dalena van Rooyen, who is based here at Ocean Sciences. Prof. Zingela is based at South Campus in the building 7. And I think I love always saying this over the past orientations, that the health sciences faculty is the only faculty that has a dedicated director of research and the director of learning and teaching that is based within a faculty. And we have Prof. Mallory with us, and also Prof. Anilin Kiet, who's just left, who was the previous speaker. And the relative directors of school, we have 3 schools in the faculty, which is the School of Behavioral Sciences and Lifestyle Sciences, the School of Clinical Care and Medicinal Sciences, and the Medical School. And the Behavioral and Lifestyle Sciences is, okay, just a minute. The slides are not moving. Just a moment. Okay. Can somebody online confirm if they're looking at slide 2 of my presentation? Okay. It's moving. Okay, thank you. So the directors of school, Prof. Zolega Soji, who is based at South Campus, is heading the School of Behavioral and Lifestyle Sciences. Prof. Ilse Truter, also at South Campus in the pharmacy department, is heading the School of Clinical Care and Medicinal Sciences. And Dr. Reno Mora is the head of the medical school in Missionville campus. If we look at the relative HODs, the website hyperlink to the School of Behavioral Sciences is also on the presentation. So if you are in behavioral sciences, you might want to also orientate yourself into the school's website. With the human movement science, we've got Dr. Aisha
With the human movement science, we've got Dr. Aisha
as the HOD. With human nutrition and dietetics, we've got Prof. Anili Chiesa as the HOD. And environmental health, we've got Dr. Sean Ramrup as the HOD. The Department of Psychology, we've got Prof. Magnolia Ngobositole as the HOD. And with social development profession, we've got Dr. Nevashni Perumal as the acting HOD. With clinical care and medicinal sciences, we've got Ms. Sipoga Zitili as the HOD for medical laboratory sciences. We've got Dr. Mbali Luvuno Kiele, sorry, as the HOD of pharmacy. We've got Mr. Sidney Campbell as the HOD for radiography. We've got Dr. Nulundi Khatana as the HOD for nursing sciences. And we've got Mr. Paul Allen as the HOD for emergency medical care. And at the medical school, we've got Prof. Elma De Vries, who's the program coordinator there for the medical program. And then it's the research directorate. So the research directorate is a dedicated department that deals with research within the health sciences for both postgraduate students and for academic staff members, as well as our research partners, such as the research associates and professional associates that we have in the faculty. And our director is Prof. Melariri. And we have a biostatistician in the faculty as well, Dr. Sibanda. I don't think he's with us right now. And it is myself. And then we've got Miss Berthlyn Moton at the back and Miss Zugisiwe Sifilo, who are our research assistants. We've got these two people, I think, from graduation throughout to, from registration through to graduation. For postgraduate students, I think this is very important people that you need to know and make nice with. And that is our academic administration manager, Miss Marilyn Africana. I'm not seeing her, but I think she's gonna pop up. She's gonna come through today. And we've got our academic administration consultant for postgraduate students, which is Mr. Siabulela on my right here. I think these are all, if you ever have any question regarding the PG journey or any academic administration matter, these are the people that you can speak to.
Can I just ask the delegates online to please mute their computers, please? We're having some background noise and we are hearing all your conversations. Thank you.
And then if we look at health sciences and numbers, especially zoning into postgraduate, currently, as of today, we've got 255 MND students that are registered, of which roughly 93 of those are first-time registered MND students. And for the upcoming graduation, we have the privilege of graduating 6 PhD students and 21 master's students that are going to be working the stage in the April 2024 graduation. And within the academic staff members, we have just over 107 academic staff members with postgraduate supervision capacity. That means that these are the staff members who hold either a master's or a PhD degree. And then we've got the members within the various departments that represent the department at faculty committees. So if a student has an academic matter or research matter that needs to be discussed at the committee, these will be the people that they first contact to take whatever that their matters to the relevant committee. So with the Department of Dietetics, we've got Prof. Rosa Durant and Miss Tracy Hutton as the departmental rep for dietetics. We've got Dr. Sean Ramrup representing the environmental health. We've got Dr. Aisha Kovadia with HMS. We've got Prof. Nanette Smith with medical laboratory sciences. We've got Dr. Vilma Tenhembaloy for nursing sciences. And at pharmacy, we've got Dr. Ndogozo Dambuza and Mbali Luvuno Kiele for pharmacy. And then we've got Alida Sanderson for psychology. We've got Dr. Rian van der Venter for radiography. We've got Dr. Zurina Abdullah for social development professions. And we've got Prof. Elma de Vries as a faculty representative to the research, to the REC-H committee, the University REC-H committee. We have Dr. Sibanda sitting in as a biostatistician. We've got Dr. Nadine Roll representing the medical school. Those committee, both the Faculty Research Engagement Committee and the Faculty Postgraduate Studies Committee are headed by Prof. Melariri. These are all the faculty meeting dates that you need to take note of. These were shared with all postgraduate students. If you don't have that document, feel free to email any of the staff members in the research directorate. They will provide you with that. Those are the dates that if you are a postgraduate student and you are aiming to submit right now proposals, for example, those are the due dates. On the left, the meeting agenda closing date and the actual meeting date of the committee. So all of our closing dates are a month before the meeting. So if you are aiming, let's say, for example, you are aiming to have your proposal submitted to serve at a May meeting, it means that your proposal will need to reach the faculty in April. And that means that it would have needed to be finalized and approved at the department before the deadline in April. The REC-H closing agenda, for example, is also very important because that is another step, and you'll get to understand that in my next presentation when I talk about submission of research proposals. So that table is very important in terms of your planning when you are writing or when you are thinking about your research proposals. Just some timelines that you need to take note of, and the dates that you must know that if you are submitting for the faculty May meeting, and then you almost likely going to make either the July REC-H meeting and so forth. But I'll talk more later about that in my presentation. Yeah, that's all for now. I'll pause here, and just because of this next presentation, it overlaps with some of the matters with the M&D policy. I just thought that perhaps let's start with the M&D policy understanding so that when I'm saying something, you already understand why that's the case from the M&D policy. So thank you for now. I don't know if there's any questions either on the floor or online.
I haven't seen anything online, or there are 7 messages in the chat. How will that be accessed? Can we just click on that, Tembeka?
No, there
There we
aren't
go.
any questions online.
Okay. No questions online. To the delegates in the room here, any questions for Tembeka? Just hold on.
On that previous table, Temberger,
Yes.
because it's got a lot of abbreviations like Rec A, Rec H.
Okay.
So I don't really know what it means. I don't know
Okay.
if you mind to take us through, maybe take one example and explain what does it really mean? Like,
Okay.
because
So
even though date, what does it mean in, I don't know. So,
okay.
yeah.
No, thank you. Thank you so much. I think we take lightly that some people are not aware of. So there are several committees in the faculty that deals with postgraduate research. So for example, with FPGSC, that is Faculty Postgraduate Studies Committee, and that is the committee that oversees the academic administration of students. So from application throughout to graduation, all the processes that are involved in that are discussed or are overseen by that the Postgraduate Studies Committee. And then we've got the FREC. Mostly that is for research and engagement committee. So for example, we deal with matters such as research sabbaticals for staff members, research associates applications, not necessarily more on postgraduate students, that committee. And issues such as funding, if maybe there's a request for funding, that is the committee that oversees that. But for postgraduate students, I think it's mainly important for them to get to understand the functions of the Postgraduate Studies Committee, because that is the committee that oversees the process, and then to the Research Ethics Committee for Humans for approval. And then for the Reg A, I haven't quite seen if there's any application from the health sciences, but that is the Research Ethics Committee for Animals. So any studies that are using animals as test subjects, all the research protocols will have to go through that committee. The PGC is the Postgraduate Studies Committee of the university, so it oversees the faculty postgraduate students. Some of the matters that serve at FPGSC, there are others that will need to be sent to the higher committee for further processing. So that is the abbreviations. And then the dates is just the due dates for several for those committees. And the arrows are the areas between the FREC and FPGSC and Reg H. Those arrows just mean that if you have, for example, your proposal, if you're having a proposal serving now in April, you might want to make the next deadline is on the 3rd of May for the proposal to go to Reg H. So I'm not sure about how fast you can get the proposal finalized. So that is why I was saying that this is helping you in terms of the timelines to understand that, for example, if you were aiming at the Reg H May meeting and your proposal is serving at the faculty April, you might work under a lot of pressure if you're wanting to finalize that within maybe 8 days. So I don't know if that highlights or clarifies things, or you need any further clarity. Okay, thank you. And we've got Miss Marilyn, who's just joined us. This the nice lady that you need to make nice with. Thank you so much. I don't know if there's any other question.
I think we're all good. Thank you very much, Tembeka, for that. And yeah, without further delay, I'm going to call on Mr. Siabulela Mashalaba, our Faculty Academic Administration Postgraduate Consultant, to do his presentation on the overview of the M&D policy. Thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. Okay. I hope that I'll be
Yeah. Just press that little thing again there so that it shares because it's not in
where
that little thing at the bottom.
this one. Okay. I'm here for a postgraduate orientation for my first year students, where I'm gonna give you an overview of Mzandi's policy, which is our constitution that relates and also that regulates the do's and don'ts of the university. My name is Sabulela Mashalaba. Those are my details where you can get me. Am I audible?
Yes, you are. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Those are the details where you can get me, and also the email that whenever that you need the support, you'll get me on. My office line and the office itself at Building 7 South Campus. I'm going to talk about the processes in registrations as they reflect in the policy that we have, that is the institutional policy that feeds to the faculty. Registration, it is stated that in the initial year of your study, a prospective candidate for postgraduate degree involves research only, that is master's by dissertation and doctoral, are permitted to register throughout the year. However, it should be noted that the first year of registration will only be recognized as a full academic year in terms of the minimum or maximum period of study in registration takes place on or before the last day of April or any given year. So meaning that the postgrads candidate who registers after the last working day of April will pay fees on a pro rata basis for the first year of study. Then a full time candidate is defined as one of the following: one who is available on a day-to-day basis to attend and participate in the postgraduate programs of the faculty in which he or she is registered. So meaning that the person will be a full-time student if ever he is full-time, and more especially when they are not working, they are only focusing only on our studies full-time. Then a candidate who does not fulfill the definition of a full-time candidate as defined above will be automatically deemed by the university to be part-time candidate, because we need to see the interaction for you to be a full-time. The continued registration of postgraduate candidates is subject to favorable annual progress reports. There is a new rule that the university is using, whereby each year you need to submit your progress report so that you will be able, we can see and monitor your progress on your studies. And also for you to register the following year, you need to submit that. Without you submitting this progress report, we will block you. You won't be able, because we want to see you your progress, so that at least we do the annual progress report helps us to monitor the students in the system, so that we can have less people in the system and introduce the new people in the system. So all masters and doctoral candidates are required to review the registration annually with the period designated by the university, usually by mid-March of each year, until completion of their studies. Not the problem that we're facing is that if ever a student is registered for masters this year, he or she automatically thinks that next year she will be registered, will be automatically registered without following the same problem of the same process that he used on the first year. Even if you take 3 years or 4 years in your master's or your PhD, each and every year you need to register. There will be no exemptions. So minimum and a maximum period of study. Thank you. Minimum and maximum. Hello. People online, can you hear me?
You keep on breaking, sir, but we can hear you now.
Can you hear me now? All right. Thank you. In terms of minimums and maximum periods of study in your master's or PhD, minimum period of study for a postgraduate degree on a full-time basis, which is for master's degree, you have a year. At doctoral, it has to be 2 years. The maximum period of study for postgraduate degree on a part-time basis, full-time studies, a master's degree by coursework or full research. By dissertation, it's 3 years. For a doctoral is 4 years. Part-time studies, master's degree by coursework or full-time by dissertation is 4 years. At doctoral studies is 6 years. There has to be now we're gonna deal with the ins and outs, the do's and don'ts between the student and the supervisor. This is the conclusion of learning agreement. Supervisors are required to enter into a specific supervisory agreement or a memorandum of understanding with candidates which specifies the responsibility and rights of both in terms of the supervision processes. This agreement should be followed, documented, formally documented, and should be include the following aspects: the minimum frequency of formal consultations, as well as the responsibility for initiating such consultations and their formats, the nature, the extent, and the circumstances of the commentary on work handed in by the candidate, e.g., it could be verbal feedback, notes, and on a draft chapter, a letter in which a methodological errors and erroneous assumptions are spelled out, and the time taken by the supervisor to give such a feedback. The responsibilities of the supervisor, the responsibilities outlined below are considered to be reasonable expectations of academic or any other person who are undertaking the supervision of a master's and a doctoral candidate. Firstly, liaise and cooperate with the HOD, Director of Schools, and the Executive Dean, and the relevant academic support unit to ensure that the student is able to access basic resources such as libraries, laboratory space, chemicals, access to bursaries, and scholarships where the student meets the criteria, etc. Reasonably required by postgraduate candidate. Secondly, the supervisor clarifies respective roles of student supervisor and supervisors where relevant to ensure that students and supervisors are clearly about channels of communication as well as expectation. Preferably, such clarification should be contained in the supervisor or learning agreement. Thirdly, conferring or make contact with the student regularly, minimum once or once an academic term, to provide academic guidance, to ensure the development and mastery of the research skill and competence relevant to the discipline and the specific study, and to ensure adherence to the university requirements and the disciplines standards. Fourthly, monitor the progress of the student and submit reports on the student's progress as required by the university and the relevant scholarship funding bodies. I think the student, I think you will go furthermore with your responsibility as students, as I'll be touching in at a later stage. Because that's not only the responsibility of the supervisor, but even the students has a role to play. Number 5, keep a record of supervision sessions and provide feedback within the time frame agreed upon to enable students' progress. And 6, supervisors must maintain and adhere to accept safety and health standards, as well as ethical research practice as the Nelson Mandela Code of Conduct for Researchers, which is IRC 404.01, and a policy on research ethics, which is IRC 404.02, specified codes of discipline where applicable, and conventions regarding plagiarism as per Nelson Mandela policy of promotion and academic integrity and prevention of plagiarism, which is IRC 305.04, and advise their students to maintain the standard as well. Number 7, the supervisor had to provide the relevant information to the students so that the candidates submit the treatise, dissertation, or thesis for the examination and final submission in accordance with the university or faculty specific rules. I advise students regarding submission of declaration of manuscripts at the time of approval of examination reports for the purposes of awarding a doctoral degree. Outlining below are the reasonable expectation of all candidates and role, meaning that these are the roles, these are the responsibilities for students now, what we expect you to do, and also the role that you need to play. Outlined below are the reasonable expectations of all candidates enrolled for master's and doctoral studies. As a postgrad candidate, the student is expected to apply him or her to meet the following responsibility. Number 1, a student needs to complete all the required components of an academic program as stipulated, plan and execute the research studies as agreed to with the guidance of the supervisor and the co-supervisor where applicable. Thirdly, to ensure that the research proposal is submitted for approval within the stipulated time frame in accordance with university rules. Also, the students need to adhere to the principles of accepted safety and health, ethics, research practice, and university code of conduct for researchers, and the policy on research ethics, specifically codes of the discipline where applicable, and the conventions regarding plagiarism as per Nelson Mandela policy for the promotion and academic integrity and prevention of plagiarism. Fifthly, I think the student needs to make sure a regular appointment with the supervisors to update supervisors on progress or any difficulty encountered in executing the academic project as planned to ensure autonomous remedial action where required. This will help us to note that you are having hindrances or hurdles. So if ever you that is your responsibility to contact your supervisor or at least once in 3 months. I know it is the policy of the institution says one in a semester, but at least the more, if you want to progress and see progress, it's advised that you continuously do corrections as you are advised, and also bring them back to your supervisor so that he can look at the progress that you're doing so that he can advise you further. You need to keep a written record of supervisor sessions and the decision agreed to. You submit regular outputs for the academic project to ensure effective guidance and input by the supervisor or supervisors. Also, you need to ensure that the written work submitted has been proofread and of an accepted academic standard. Make sure that you ensure that the necessary amendments or revision decided upon with the supervisor or supervisors are made regularly and resubmitted as agreed for further guidance. Like I said, take responsibility for the production of the treatise, dissertation, or a thesis, for an example, and final submission in accordance with university of faculty specific rules. Then you need to submit a manuscript to the supervisor prior to the time to the approval of examiners reports for purposes of awarding the degree, a doctoral degree. Then the renewal annual registration for the academic program within the period stipulated by the university until the completion of the degree. Like I said, that each and every year you need to register up until you finalize and you complete your qualification. Submission of a research proposal. Postgraduate candidates who are enrolled for a master's degree by research are equivalent to submit a research proposal within 6 months of your registration. The postgraduate candidates who are enrolled for a master's degree by coursework are required to submit a research proposal within 6 months of registration after registering the treatise module. Then doctoral candidates are required to submit a proposal within 12 months of registration, which is a year. Proposal are submitted at departmental level first, and thereafter they go to the FBGSC for approval, which is that faculty postgraduate committee that sits and approves whatever that the department will have approved before, so that you can continue with your study. And then the faculty postgraduate studies committee approves the low risk studies. Then if your study is medium or high risk, it will need to be approved by University Research Ethics Committee on Human. These were the dates that were already shared by OCC Usistebi. These are the dates that I'm working with, which is your that is our FPGSC dates. There's nothing that's gonna be new. There's the same dates that Usistebi had already alluded on. We are having a student in abeyance, which is one of the processes that always affect our students. In an extraordinary circumstances, an application for abeyance for a definition period of time can be requested. Focus on faculty of postgraduate students studies approves an abeyance in studies for one academic year. In exception cases, that is the postgrad studies committee, which is the higher structure from the faculty, may grant permission for study to be placed in abeyance for an additional year, but such abeyance may be granted for more than a total of 2 years during the complete maximum period of your study for the degree. Also, we are having an extension in studies. Once a maximum year of study has been exceeded, an extension of study and application is to be submitted for approval to complete your degree register. This the first application that you do for an extension, it will be approved at a faculty level by the Faculty Postgraduate Studies Committee. Then the second, third, and up will need the approval of the Postgrad Studies Committee, which is the higher structure, which is the institutional structure that approves, which is the second and the third extension. Intention to submit December or April graduation. When the treatise or dissertation thesis nearby completion, the student must inform the faculty academic administration, our office, in writing of his or her intention to submit his final treatise, dissertation, thesis for the examination. Such notice must be given by the deadline published in the calendar of the university in April for December graduation and in August for an April graduation. Deadline for assessment copies to be submitted to the graduation is usually the first Friday in August for December graduation and the first Friday in December for April graduation. Graduation and the awarding of the degree, the outcomes of the examination. Your faculty academic administrating postgraduate consultant will be responsible to inform you in writing of the outcomes of the examination process, and then the access and the graduation assessment and graduation sections will inform you of arrangement for graduation. I only communicate to you, say these are the results that you got from your master's or your PhD. Then whatever that logistics that needs to be done, your tickets, your invitations to graduation, that will be done by the exams section, which is the assessment and the graduation session. Awarding of the degree, there is a clear examination outcome, positive and final electronic copies of the treatise, dissertation, thesis has been submitted by the deadline for December and April graduation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have any questions? Let's start online. And questions here? One question. There's one here. Maybe the delegate would like to come in and ask the question.
Good morning. Thank you. I just posted the question on the chat. I was just looking at the faculty meeting dates. There is a Reg H or Reg A, depending on the research you're doing, and there's also an Reg and FPGSC. So which date comes first in terms of submission? Do you first do the Reg H application or do you first do the proposal submission? The second question is, there is meetings agenda closing date and meetings date. So when we do our project timelines, do we focus on the meetings agenda dates? And if it is a meeting agenda date, for example, if it says meetings agenda date is the 3rd of May, do we submit, what is the deadline for us? Is it the actual 3rd of May or is it probably a week before the 3rd of May? Thank you.
Thank you for that. Sia, will you? Thank
All
you.
right. I think it is clear that firstly, you need to, if ever you are having a proposal, you need to take it to the departmental level. Then they will approve it, and then they will forward it to the FPGSC for approval. Then after, you can take it for ethics, that is the Rec H now. Because it is the department, the faculty level, then you go for ethics considerations, which is the Rec H. The second question is, closing dates are very important for us to keep. However, we do not close opportunities for people that want to submit, although at least they can give us at least a week before the actual date where we're supposed to be assisting a student for EMs and these matters. But if for a proposal, we need to adhere and also do as the date says. If it says is the 3rd of May, please work around that. But we're not saying that you will not be held if ever you happen that you have a week before the actual meeting that you can submit. I think Marilyn needs to say something.
Thank you for the question. For the M&D student matters in ethics submissions, please focus on the agenda closing day. That's important for our ethics approvals for Tembeka's agenda. So our reviewers need at least 4 weeks to read through your proposals, at least say 3 weeks before the actual meeting, in order to give feedback to the secretariats and to you as well. So for our proposal, ethics submissions, please focus on the agenda closing date, which is indicated on the table. Tembeka want to add something else as well. Thank you, Tembeka.
Thank you a lot, ma'am. I think Marilyn has highlighted the closing agenda for FPGSC. I know that, Sipho, as you also asked for Reg H. So for example, let's say the Reg H deadline is on the 3rd of May. We actually prefer if students submit before that date. And the reason being that there are other processes post the approval from the faculty liaison person that we at the administrative side have to follow before we actually send an application to Reg H. So for example, if you submit on the 3rd of May at 3:45 in the afternoon, and there are other processes that we need to follow before we actually submit the application to Reg H. So for Reg H submissions, definitely please try to give us a week's grace before the deadline. Or if you're submitting on the deadline date, please let it be early in the morning. Thank you.
I've just asked them to flight those dates again, so that maybe if you can just give the explanation to the delegates from here so that they know exactly what you are referring to. Would that not be of assistance, Tembeka?
Okay. So let me make an example for okay, so let's for May meeting, because I see that the agenda for April meeting has closed. For example, let's say you are a student currently who's got the proposal approved at the department, and you needing to submit to the faculty. So it means that by the 29th of May, you would have put through your application via the mayor system. I will touch on that in my next presentation. And when you submit on the 29th of April, it means that the faculty reviewers are going to sit with your applications and your proposal, review it, and that proposal will be discussed at a formal meeting, which will be on the 23rd of May. The faculty meeting, which will be on the 23rd of May. And then based on the decision that will be taken in that meeting, it will either be a proposal will be sent to RegH for expedited review and approval if it's a low risk study, or it will be sent to RegH for a full committee review. And that will mean that if it's served at the faculty on the 23rd of May, you are more likely to make the July RegH meeting, because if you look at the 23rd of May, the RegH closing agenda for their June meeting is on the 31st of May. So in terms of timeline and planning, between feedback, revisions, liaison approval, it might be a tight space with the to work around. I think it's like 8 days or so between the meeting and the next deadline date for the higher committee. I don't know if it's confusing more or because I'm looking at some people's faces. So if, for example, you are working with the May faculty meeting, it's more likely that you are going to make the 12th of July deadline for your proposal to serve at the 31st of July RegH. But that is only depending on the outcome that you will receive on the 23rd of May, whether your proposal needs a full committee review at RegH, or whether it is being sent to RegH for expedited approval. But I think I'll also explain in my next presentation.
Thank you so much, Timbeka. There's
Apologies. Just Thandeka, while you're still on that, thank you for the explanation. So if you look at that 29th of April, that is the FREC. So you did
Yes.
speak about, so this is the faculty, not the department. So
Yes.
then what is your advice in terms of submitting to the department? Because it seems that we depend on the department before they give us a go ahead to submit to the faculty.
Yeah. So
If I'm following you.
Yes, so for the department, in my previous presentation, I provided slides that highlighted the relevant departmental representatives. The different departments conduct proposal review or proposal approval differently. So there's no standard way in terms of the department. So in terms of the actual processes in the department, you might want to confirm with the departmental representative. Some departments have set deadlines, for example, in terms of proposals, approval, and proposal reviews at departmental level, whereas some other departments' approval are continuous. So if you are, for example, looking at submitting on the 29th of April, you might want to look at whether your department has a set agenda date for April in terms of proposal approval at departmental level, or if they are continuous, then it might mean that you need to submit right now, because you need, across all levels, you at least need to give reviewers a grace period of 2 weeks or 2 to 3 weeks to look at your proposal and to do justice to your proposal. So most likely, I think for safety, you might want to, if the faculty is on the 29th of the 29th of April, it definitely means that right now, this first week of April, you might want to send through your proposal at the departmental level to try to get it finalized before that deadline. But confirmation with the departmental representative, you might need to do that. But for safety reason, always work with a month before the next deadline. So if if the deadline for faculty is the 29th of April, it means that a month before April, you need to get your proposal finalized or at least submitted at the department. I think that will be a safest option.
Okay, thank you. And then last question now, when you submit the proposal to the department, is it safer to submit your proposal together with the Reg H to the department, or you have to wait for the department's guidance for you to submit to the Reg H? Thanks.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna give this to Prof. Mallory, because process-wise, I think there's some discussions that are happening, and I am not, I'm currently in sabbatical, so I think the most updated information would be provided by Prof. Mallory. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that question. Basically, after the departmental approval for you to submit to the faculty, you will be duly updated on the progress, and you'll be guided accordingly on what to do. So I'm going to explain it, but I'm just trying to let you know that along the line, you will be duly updated so that you don't, struggle if you are not comprehending everything now. Okay, but basically, after the submission to the Faculty Postgraduate Studies Committee, your proposal is reviewed and feedback is provided to you. Okay, and there will be a liaison person, one of the reviewers assigned, that will guide you and approve that submission so that it can receive the ethics approval. So if the classification of your proposal demands a further review by wreckage, you will be informed. Feedback will be provided to you by the faculty after the review at the faculty level. And the next phase, if applicable, will also be in strain. And then feedback will be given to you even from RecEdge regarding that process. So at each step, you will be updated. Okay. Does that help?
Thank you, Prof. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other questions?
Yes,
Okay.
Mrs.
Going
Williams.
to get the chat box open so that we can see, and we've got one on the floor here.
Thank you and good morning. I just wanted to ask with regards to the progress report. I am a part-time MFARM student, so I wanted to ask, what does the progress report entail for a student like me? And is it something that I need to submit myself, or does my supervisor submit it for me? And what would be the processes thereof? And also just to ask the date of when it should be submitted so that I'm able to register next year.
Thank you. Madam, okay.
Okay. Thank you. That is a very important question. Progress reports for our first years, if you're in a master's by dissertation, will be guided by your proposal having been submitted to FPGC within the stipulated period of the 6 months, or within by a year end, we do the validations at the end of the year. So if you're first year master's student, proposal in terms of progress must reach FPGC by at least the end of the first year, which is end of the November meeting. And then progress reports, we are doing it twice a year. So it's done electronically submitted by yourself. We do the first run just to have students be acquainted to the online system of submitting the progress reports. It's usually the end of the first semester. And then secondly, the most important one will lead to registration for the following year. So it's done electronically online. You submit, from there it's routed to your supervisor. And then your supervisor also comment on your progress. And with both reports, I looked at Faculty Postgraduate Studies Committee as well in terms of progress, if there are any problems or concerns by students and supervisors, and that's where we get the valuable information from our students in terms of planning for the following year. But progress twice a year online, so you'll get an automated email that will be sent to your email. I call for your progress report to be completed online, so please do watch out your email in terms of that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All your questions covered, ma'am? The chat box, where are we now? Which submission comes first? Rec H or FPGSC? I think we answered that one. But if I can just say, it will be your FPGSC first and then Rec H. Okay. Do we work around meeting agenda closing dates? I think we've touched on that one as well. Yes, you do work around the meeting agenda closing dates so that you can make sure that you submit your documentation timeously. When do you start counting a year of study? For example, or yeah, you register in August, you start your year then. I'm going to hand back to Marilyn or Sia. Oh, Marilyn, and then they can maybe explain that. Thank you.
Thank you. For all our coursework master's students, they must register as per normal with our students. Our undergraduate students are guided by the beginning of February. Importantly, for our master's students, when you register is important. We would like all our first year master's students by research and our PhD students to be registered by end of April, please. Then your study period would be study period 1. This is especially important if you are a full-time student. You're only doing your master's, that is your full-time job, and there might be a possibility that you will be able to hand in your assessment copies at the end of the year, and we need you to be registered for a full academic year as per the M&D policy, which Sia has touched on. Your degree cannot be awarded if you register pro rata from 1st of May onwards. So that's important also to remember. But for the faculty in the university, all new M&D students, please finalize your registration by the end of August. The online registration is closed for you at the moment, but you must please, if you haven't registered online as yet, please contact Mr. Mashal Balala to do your registration online in the office, in the back office. You won't be able to do it. So that's very important. If you register, something happens, you are active with your supervisor developing your proposal, you are ever due to whatsoever reason unable to finalize by the end of April, yes, you can still register for the year. All registrations from 1st of May onwards will be pro rata, which means you'll pay a lesser fee and then your year of registration isn't counted in terms of your maximum duration of studies. So for this year, then if you register 1st of May, it will be pro rata, lesser fee, then actual in terms of your years of registration that counts towards the awarding of your degree and maximum duration of study will be 2025 and it will be study period 1. Thank you. Sipokazi, am I answering your question? So if you, but she's asking then in August, it will be a pro rata registration then. Thank
So
you.
as you start counting in January 2025.
Yes, if you were
Okay.
registering from 1st of May onwards, but first prize is all M&D, please register by the end of April. This year can count as a study period 1. If in the event I say you're full-time and you're able to complete your degree by end of December, first year, it is possible if you're studying full-time, but yeah, that's our first prize if you can at all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Apologies, can I do a follow-up on that? Because now it was a little bit vague at the end. When, from Sipokazi's question here, she registered in August. So if Sipokazi is a PhD student, when is she supposed, or what is the deadline for submitting the proposal if she registered in August 2024? Thank you.
We will count from the date of registration. So August 2024, which means August 2025 will be a full year of registration for, although it leads now into a new academic year, but we'll have to look at the date of registration for a student in this position if it's a first year student. So at the end of the year, she would have been registered for a couple of months. She will not be blocked. So her validation in terms of the policy, in terms of the proposal being submitted within the minimum period, will come into effect next year in August 2025 then.
Thank you so much.
Clear? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think we're done. Thank you very much, Mrs. Afrikaner, much appreciated. Is there another question? Oh, no. So it's over to Tembeka to continue with her second bit of her presentation then. Thank you very much.
Um, thank you so much. My next presentation is on the proposal submission process. And I think that the previous Q&A has already answered that first slide. So as per the policy, and I think Mr. Siabulela reflected on this, it is submitted within 6 months for masters, full-time students, and 1 year for PhD. And for those that are registered for the treatise, it's within the 6 months of registering for the treatise module at master's level. And you submit the proposal that is approved by your department to FPGSC via the Mandela Online Ethics System. You will hear the faculty members speaking of MEOS a lot. Whenever they speak of MEOS, they mean the Mandela Online Ethics System. And if you are a new student, or even if you are not a new student, because it is a system that the health sciences faculty only started using now in February. I think Michelle is providing a training tomorrow. One of the session tomorrow, it will be on the MEOS system training in terms of creating and submitting an application. So please do join and inform others as well. And you submit the proposal with all of your appendices, the departmental evaluation form, or the minutes, or whatever feedback that you've received when you were submitting your proposal at the department. You submit all of those online and on MEOS, as well as proof of registration. Proof of registration because by our policies, our reviewers may not review a proposal from an unregistered student. And the proposal will go through all the departmental level steps. It will go through FPGSC, and after FPGSC review and provide outcome, you are required to attend and submit revisions within 3 months of you receiving feedback. And the implication of not submitting that revisions within 3 months is that automatically, in terms of the Reg H policies, which is the ethics, the Research Ethics Committee for Human, their policy states that if you don't submit revisions within 3 months, you've kind of withdrawn your study. So after that 3 months period, if you now come back to us, we will tell you that you need to start from step 1. So it means that your proposal will have to be re-reviewed again at FPGSC, and we don't really want that. But fortunately, with the move to the online system, the system does send reminders, I think in a 2 weeks period, to the students that you haven't attended your revisions. So hopefully we won't get to the stage where we have students that need to resubmit or to have their proposal re-reviewed because of delayed revision submission. So when you submit your proposal at the faculty, and just to note that all of our postgraduate students, MND, all of their proposals, they have to be submitted to the Faculty Postgraduate Studies Committee. We've got students, for example, that will say, and I just had somebody from industrial pharmacy, I'm doing a quality assurance, my proposal doesn't really need ethics approval, or maybe I'm not using any human participants, I'm doing a systematic review. All of our proposals, they have to go through the Faculty Studies Committee for academic scientific merit approval, as well as ethics approval. If you are doing a quality assurance study, there are some options that are available on the online system for you to be able to reflect that your study is a quality assurance study. It is a matter of just working with your supervisor and the Reg H technical assistants, which is Ms. Michelle, and ourselves, in terms of assisting you to choose the correct one. Unfortunately, I know that most students, they don't really like going through the whole system, but we do need to have the applications go through the ethics approval. And this is also important because when you are submitting your treatise or your thesis later on, the exam office will ask you of your ethics reference number, or maybe if you are wanting to publish or to write an article based on your research, you would need to have an ethics number linked to that article or to that project. So regardless of whether you are doing research with human participants or you're not doing research where you're doing research that doesn't necessarily use human participants, you still go through the ethics submission as well. And then in terms of just the ethics approval period, it is only for a one-year period. So if you get, for example, your proposal approved and an ethics letter issued, let's say in May 2023, you have up until May 2024 to complete your data collection. So the ethics approval is only linked to the data collection activities. If you see that you would need to extend your period of data collection, it is advisable that a month before your ethics lapse, you apply for an extension. Because if you don't apply for an extension and the period lapses and you see that you haven't completed your data collection, you will have to stop all activities and start afresh from applying for your proposal to serve at faculty. And then it's faculty, so just to avoid all that, just take note of the approval period for ethics is only 1 year. And a month before that, the ethics lapses, if you see that you still have some activities that you need to do for data collection, you are advised to submit an extension application. And I think Michelle would touch on the different application types when she's providing a training tomorrow. And then we've got, my apologies, I think I missed. It's not projecting the slide I'm in, sorry. Thank you. So after you've gotten your proposal approved at the department, you've submitted it to the faculty postgraduate students by that FPGSC agenda meeting date. And it has served on the FPGSC meeting. So you've submitted your proposal, let's say you submitted your proposal to the faculty by the 29th of April. and it has been, it's going to be communicated, it's going to serve, or it's going to be discussed at the 23 of May meeting. After that meeting, there are certain outcomes that are submitted, are sent to the student. For example, we've got the low risk study. So when you were completing your online form, your application came, your risk assessment came through to us as a low risk study, and it's provisionally accepted. And I'm gonna say that the faculty would provisionally accept your proposal subject to certain revisions being made to the satisfaction of the liaison person. So you've got two reviewers that will be assigned to your proposal. And one of those people would be appointed as a liaison person. And a liaison person basically means that if you've got feedback that you've received from the faculty and there is something that you need clarity on, or there is some questions that you've got regarding the feedback, you can contact that person to ask for clarity. Because of some students, we actually prefer that the first communication be initiated by your supervisor. So if you receive feedback, you go through feedback and then you have a meeting with your supervisor. Maybe they will explain the feedback in a manner that you might understand from them. If the both of you still don't understand, the first contact with the liaison person, we prefer that it be the supervisor that contacts the liaison person to ask for clarity. And the reason for that is that we just want to respect and protect our liaison person, because we found some manner in which the students are communicating with them to be a bit harsh, if I can put it kindly. And so they are appointed to assist you in that. And just, I think for myself as a postgraduate student, it's recommendations, it's revisions. If you see that a certain comment, for example, or a certain suggestion that is made is not really, in line with what you are saying, the liaison person or the committee is not saying that you need to go with everything that they're saying, but you can explain it back to them that I appreciate this comment, but this is what my study is about. Therefore, we've not included it in the revisions because of 1, 2, and 3, and 4. The reviewers are people, they'll definitely understand. Most likely somebody that was reviewing your proposal is not in the same field as you. So by you explaining that although you've provided this is where we're coming from and this is why we are not implementing it, it's gonna make the process much smoother when they have to approve the final changes into your proposal. Then you make the revisions online as well as on the proposal. So with the online system is only a system that is dedicated for the ethics application form. So your proposal, you will still need to attach it, and then you make the revisions on the proposal, because reviewers will both make comments on the application form and the proposal, and you submit all of that on MEOS. And the liaison person will look at the revised documentation that is submitted online. And if they have further comments, they will include those further comments online. And it's that back and forth now between you and the liaison person. And once they've said that they're satisfied with the revisions that you've made, then they will inform us at the faculty in terms of on the administrative side. We will send your application to REC for expedited review. This is for low risk study. Because of the NHREC, only REC may now issue the ethics approval letter, because they are the ones that have the NHREC registration. So after the faculty is satisfied with your proposal and your ethics application form, we send that application to REC. They will expedite it and issue you with the ethics letter. That is for the low risk studies. And I just wanted something on to highlight something on the liaison person approval, that back and forth. I do know that sometimes it might be frustrating, but when we're sending out feedback, the system creates an action memo, what is called an action memo, with all the sections where there's comments and all the comments that were made. To make it easier for the liaison person, and the system unfortunately right now has also made it easier. After each comment, you might want to have a response of how you've attended to that comment, if you've attended to it, where to find the revisions, or if you have not attended to it, you know, what is the reason for not, or what is your justification for leaving it as is. That makes it easier for the liaison person to check the action memo, to see the comment that was made, to see what was done, and then to easily find it on your document if it's a proposal, or to easily find it in a section in the proposal. If you, for example, just leave that as is, and you want the liaison person to go through the whole application from start and the whole proposal from start, then that might delay that process. So just to make it easy, just work with the action memo and have your responses on the action memo as well, to make that review a bit faster. And then we've got now proposals that are marked medium to high risk. These are the proposals that will be reviewed as well at FPGSC. And then the revisions are made similarly to the low risk study. And then the faculty liaison person approves the changes. And then the application will be sent to Reg H for review. This is where you need to note of that Reg H deadline date. For the low risk study, we work with Reg H on the side in terms of expediting review. So you don't necessarily need to work with you know, the Reg H deadline if your study is a low risk study. Reg H continuously is accepting applications for the low risk study to expedite them. But if your application is a medium to high risk study, then after it has been approved, if in terms of revisions, let me not say, in terms of revisions, you need to take into account the deadline, the deadline for Reg H submission. And once the liaison person approves the changes, the system will automatically pick it up, and then we process it on our side, and it will go to Reg H. So when you are doing your revisions, just have in mind the Reg H deadline, and also in terms of just being kind to the liaison person, because remember that these are academics as well. They've got full academic load, they've got their own students. So it might be that you are aiming to submit on the 2nd of May, and the Reg H deadline is on the 3rd of May, and the liaison person maybe has students writing a test that day. They will not be able to look at your application. Your application is going to miss the Reg H deadline. It means that it will stand a month again for it to be submitted in the next month. So I think for the medium to high risk study, just be conscious about that. And once it's submitted to Reg H for review, the feedback will be provided by Reg H. And they will also you also need to attend to it within 3 months. They will have their own liaison person again that will be appointed to attend to the the feedback. And after the Reg H liaison person has approved, then Reg H would issue the ethics letter, and only then may data collection commence. I think let me just stop here for a minute and just take some questions if we have any questions before I move to the next slide.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning. My question is a concern and a worry to me. What is it that delays the ethical approval? Because in most instances, I've found that people, or you would want to complete your study in 2 years in the stipulated minimum period. And then because of ethics, somehow you find your ethical approval coming in 6 months before your 2 years lapses. So what is it exactly that delays the ethical approval? Thank you.
I'm gonna answer, and I am going to seeing Prof. Mallory, and I'm also gonna ask Razana to chip in. She was at the FPGSC, but from my side, do you see the progress reports? We review those for the students, right? And you know, we always hear students saying ethics is taking so long, right? And the perceptions around that is because students, they don't understand the timelines. The student, they think that if I submit my proposal on the 1st of April, it means that it's gonna be finalized before the end of April. But only to realize that you submit your proposal a month before. So the meeting you submit on the 25th of March for your proposal to serve in the 26th of April meeting. And when they're saying ethics is taking long, they're counting that month that the proposal is being reviewed, right? And then we issue feedback, and the student takes 4 months to attend to feedback. The student now attends to feedback 4 months. They send to the liaison person. Maybe the liaison person takes 2 weeks to approve the proposal. And then the student is saying, it took me 6 months to get ethics approval. 4 months of those 6 months were, the proposal was with the student. So the one perspective into it is that when feedback is provided to the students, there is a delay on the student side to attend to revisions. And I think I can confidently say I've been with FPGSC since 2020, we send feedback to students within 2 weeks of the meeting. And if you look at any committee, and if you look at the SOPs of committee, we are required to send feedback to students within 2 weeks of the meeting. We try to make sure that by the end of the first week after the meeting, so the meeting is on a Thursday, it's a full day meeting that starts from 9 o'clock to 4 o'clock. By Friday, on Friday, we are working on the recommendations that were made. We have to create, we have to minute everything that was discussed. By the following week on Tuesday, we start sending feedback to students, right? And if there's any delay from our side, that might seem like maybe the 2 weeks is passing.
Not even they hear everything at the talk, sir.
Student, we inform the student of a delay if there's any.
Could the person online please mute?
And then and another matter that resulted in delay after the approval in terms of the liaison person approval is also mostly was because of the offline process, because you would need to email the liaison person. And I see a student who was here last year when I was making an example of when you are emailing a liaison person of the changes, some of the things that you need to take into account. For example, you are sending a proposal from your Gmail account. There's no subject lines, just find attached. The liaison person has no idea what this is about. So that, those were the factors that contributed to that. But with the online system, and I think that is what this year is going to actually, we've got a timeline. So we on our side at the faculty, we can easily just go to your project ID. We see exactly when you submitted your proposal, when it was reviewed at the department, when feedback was submitted, when you submitted to the liaison person, when the liaison person submitted. It would even have the emails, the reminders that are sent to the students and to the liaison person. But also from our side, we know that whenever you submit, we get notification that you've submitted. And we know, for example, that Prof. Mallory is your liaison person. Because we understand the responsibilities that they have, would normally just send them a courtesy email to say, please note that a so-and-so student has submitted their revisions. And if we see that it's been 2 weeks and they haven't sent any comments to the student or any response to the student, would also follow up on them. But I think mainly the offline system was a bit, I think with the online system, we'll be able to pinpoint exactly where the delay is. But I think in terms of timelines, there was this perception that if I've submitted my proposal on the 25th of March, it meant that it's going to be reviewed in March, only for it to be reviewed in the next month. So yeah, but I'm gonna give to Razana. She was with FPGSC for years, and as well as Prof. Mallory to also comment on that.
Thank you, Tembeka. I think you've put it quite beautifully. You've captured it, because we must just be mindful that the person reviewing, the liaison person, this is not their primary role. So they've got other responsibilities as well. Hence the timeline where the liaison will have maybe, I think it's 2 weeks turnaround time as well. Then you have not completed all of what was required, etc. That puts on a further delay. And as you've noted on the table that Tembeka and Sia shared earlier on, there's a month in between, and those takes time as well. And remember, when it goes for Rec H, because it's a medium to high risk study, you need to add that on as well, because that has review there, that has a liaison person as well. So it's all those things, comes back to how quickly you and your supervisor can address the recommendations and suggestions made, and then taking it from there. But I agree 100% with Tembeka. I think the online system will assist in ironing out a few of the challenges that we had with the offline system, for sure. I don't know if you've got something to add, Prof. Mallory. Thank you very much. I see, guys, that we are now on 10:22. We were supposed to finish at 10:15 so that we can just have a nice flow to. Do we have any other questions online? Nothing online. Tembeka, do you have, yeah. Do you have anything else that you need to complete after this still?
Yes, there's still some, I'm on 12 of 19 slides. There's still some slides.
So just this one question, and then so that we can just make sure that you get your little break.
Thank you. Just to follow up on his question, does it take longer for the medium to high risk compared to the low risk ethics to be approved in order for the study to commence? So is there like a difference? I understand the time frame, but then is there like a really big difference between the low risk and the medium to high risk, especially the high risk one, not considering the medium one. Let's just consider the high risk one. So would that take extra long to get the approval done and commencing the study?
I think for the medium to the high risk one, you must just take note that what you went through at the faculty, you're gonna go through again. So it's twice. It's a step ahead. So you're gonna have to do the revisions in the faculty, the liaison person approvals in the faculty, and then the revisions with RECAGE, liaison approvals with RECAGE. So for that, but yet again, it also goes back to how you're planning it in terms of submissions and feedback when you attend to it, in terms of how you're addressing the feedback, but also the communication between yourself and the RECAGE members. I'm an advocate for your supervisor sending that communication because, you know, if academics, if you are receiving an email from another staff member, you might address it faster. I think it's a subjective thing. You might address it faster than when you are receiving an email from a student. Yeah, so it's a matter of, I think, just planning around the timelines and being very realistic with the timelines when you're planning to ensure that it's gonna get approved a bit faster. But I think that's the 6 months we is for, it's mainly that at least by the 6 month within your registration, you have your proposal finalized at the faculty level already. Yes.
Can it be a very short one, please? Thank you very much. Because we're going to take off your tea time.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So now, Tambek, I just want to understand this risk. This high risk, low risk thing. What is this risk? What is risk for? How will I know that this is mine? It's high risk. It's low risk. Can you break it down for us, please?
Thank you. There are options on the system that you will select, but basically, if you're using human subjects, we're looking at the risk is you're looking at like the risk of your topic. For example, if it's a highly sensitive topic, maybe invasive studies, you're going to be drawing people's blood, or you're using children or the elderly as your population. So those will be in the high risk category. But when you go through there is a risk assessment on the system, and you just need to look at your project and the option it takes. So, for example, if you're going to be using maybe an intervention that might re-traumatize people, then that is regarded as a risky research. So, in terms of vulnerability of your population, but as well as the nature of your study, that indicates the risk of your study. And there will be options to guide you on the online system. But yeah.
I just wanted to ask now. Yes, I think if you can allow me, Tembeka, with the online system, it's yeah, I'm an advocate for the online system. I was very apprehensive to start out with, but having gone through it with my student, it's actually very helpful. It guides you step by step. It's got little information bubbles at the side to give you some guidance as to how this, what you need to do in this section. And if you look at the risk, medium to high, like Tembeka said, your population, is it a vulnerable population? Because if it is, they will automatically be classified as medium to high risk. Then also what type of study it is that you are doing. What was the other one? If it's low risk, it's usually when you do your systematic reviews, those where there's no real interaction, where you are going to, what Tembeka said, possibly re-traumatize people, those kind of things. And what you select, the system will then work out whether it is a low risk, medium, or high risk. But like I said, once you choose vulnerable populations, people who are institutionalized, those kind of populations, you can already know that your study will be a medium to high risk for sure. Thank you.
Yeah. I think I'm just gonna browse through very fast with the next slides. Okay. I don't know what the slides that I'm on now is not showing on the thing. But we've done the provisionally accepted proposal. It might happen that you submit a proposal that's approved by the department, and it gets reviewed by FPGSC, and they call it for a resubmission. A resubmission basically means that the reviewers or the committee, because remember that even though you are the proposal is allocated to 2 people, all committee members as they read your proposal. So for a resubmission, mainly it might be because your proposal is not at the level of the qualification, for example, or there's a misalignment maybe with the objectives and the methodology, and the committee, they just need you to just work on the proposal again and have it resubmitted to the faculty. So if you you receive a communication and outcome, and that it says that your proposal is referred back to the department, and that you need to resubmit it to serve again at FPGSC. So when you get a resubmission, your proposal, you will do the proposal, you'll do the revisions, and you'll send the revisions to the liaison person. Once the liaison person is happy with those revisions, they are happy with the revisions for the proposal to go back to serve at a full meeting and not for the proposal to be approved. That is the difference with the resubmission. So if you receive a resubmission and the liaison person approves, that approval is not for the approval of the proposal to go to the next step of the ethics approval. It's the approval of the proposal that now this proposal is now in a good state to go back to the committee to be reviewed and for the ethics to be assessed. And then after that meeting, you might receive further comments, or you might receive now the ethics outcome of your proposal. So yeah, I think this is another thing that takes a bit of more time, because your proposal will serve at 2 committee meetings at faculty level if it's a resubmission. So with the submission of revisions, they are made online, and the liaison person will get the email from the system that you've attended, you've submitted the revisions. But I have to say that the emails from the systems, they come from a do not reply email thing. And I don't know if I'm the only one, but once I see do not reply, I'm like, I'm gonna look at it tomorrow and the next 2 days. So I think just to fast track again on that process of the ethics being a bit faster, you may send a courtesy email to the liaison person. So the action memo that you receive will indicate to you who's your liaison person. And you know, the Mandela University contact details will have the email address of that person. You may send a courtesy email to that liaison person to say, you know, just note that I've submitted my revisions online, and you know, I'm looking forward to receiving your response, just to fast track the process. Preferably by your supervisor. But if your supervisor is unable to do so, we advise that you use your official Mandela University student email address, unlike your Gmail account or your Yahoo's, because we actually use that official email address to communicate with students. So even from our side, any updates or anything that we send, we don't send to your Gmails or your private personal emails. We use the student email account. If you are the one who's going to be emailing that liaison person, rather do it from your student email account. And I think I just a courtesy in terms of how to send that email. The subject line, for example, you've sent the name of the liaison person. You've copied your supervisor in that email if you are now the ones who's sending that email. And on this, the subject line, just submission of revision on MIOS application ID, and then you put in the ID number. When you submit the application online, it gives you a project ID. So always use that project ID to communicate with either the liaison person, either with the faculty, or for example, with Michelle, because it's easier for us to go to the system and type in your project ID and then your applications come through. So whenever you are communicating with us about your application, use your project ID as a subject line in all of your communication. And then just, I mean, the reviewers, they take long, they take, they give effort to your proposal. I think I always love to start by thanking them for their feedback. And just to inform them, it's a courtesy email that you've submitted your revisions online. And then also again, the project ID with approval from your supervisor, because remember that with any change that you make to your proposal or to your ethics application, your supervisor has to sign off on that. And then for ease as well, attach the revised proposal. Remember that one you uploaded on the system. So for their ease to just do it offline and to look at it offline, you may also attach the revised proposal on the email and the action memo and how you've responded to the questions. It make it easy for them because they look at the action memo and your responses, they look at the proposal, they go onto the system and they go through all the sections that that were revised. That might fast track the process a bit faster. Sorry. And yeah, okay. I think let me just rush through this. I had prepared this only for master students in terms of just some key activities that you need to complete. Maybe within 1 month of you registering, within 2 months of you registering, to try and make sure that you finalize your proposal within that 6 months. I'm just gonna try to take maybe 3 minutes, Razana. I'm not sure if
I'm just concerned because
Yeah.
I see the next, Prof.
Okay.
Goliath says she's good to go.
Okay, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Okay, so in terms of submitting your proposal within that time frame, I think just proper research project planning is needed. You need to understand the research cycle from proposal all through to completion, all the factors that are involved in that. And I love to use the principles of project management to understand that. So for example, what is your communication plan with your supervisor to say that if I'm submitting a section in my proposal, how long should I wait to get feedback? And when you've sent me feedback, how long do I have to attend to that feedback? So just establishing that. And I think these are the things that might be spoken about later on when you're looking at student supervisor relationship. Just understanding your roles and responsibilities. When you're doing your proposal, what is your roles? What is it that you need to do? What is it that your supervisor need to do? When do you need to do certain things? And when does your supervisor need to do certain things? Risk management. I've spoken about, for example, a resubmission. That is a risk in terms of your timeline. So you've planned this proposal, but now it has another month that it has to go back to the, so just some of the things as well. But also the timeline. So all these these many deadlines, you need to make sure that you work with them and plan around those timelines. So for example, if my proposal, I know that my proposal might need to go to Reg H, then it means that in my planning, I need to have maybe a month, an additional month, or an additional month and two towards the finalization of the ethics approval. Also the resources that you have, you need library, you need access to certain databases, for example, statistical resources. I'm not gonna talk about financial resources because that will be opening a can of worms, but just some of the resources that you have, what you have available at the faculty, what you have available at the university, but what is it that you're going to need and where you might possibly find those resources. But a good relationship with your supervisor helps a lot within the research journey, because if you have a good working relationship with your supervisor, you understand as well that you are not the only student that they are supervising. You are able to create a proper plan in terms of how you can achieve your plan and your timelines, taking into account all these other factors. But also you just connect with other PG students, you know, buddy groups. I think when I was doing my master's, I had another student who was doing a master's within the same field, and I will write something and I will send it to them like, can you please, does this make sense? Or maybe I'll call them, just brainstorm, does this make sense, before it goes to my supervisor. By the time it goes to my supervisor, at least I know that it's been a bit refined. So just creating those connections as well as using the research directorate. I think the research directorate is a huge support system for postgraduate students as well as academic staff members. So whenever you reach out to us, we are able to, if we cannot help, but we are able to direct you to the relevant source that you need. And I think I had also just prepared, like, for example, within the first month of you registering, you need to have met with your supervisor, and the people who will be involved will be your supervisor in the department. There are some departments that appoint supervisors for students, and then there are some departments where you as a student have to approach a certain individual. Within the first month of registration, that needs to be complicated. You need to already have established what your topic is and what your for example, your preliminary title of your studies going to be. You know, you need to set and sign your student supervisor agreement. I think Prof. Goliath is going to go into details on that later on. You know, I think a reference manager at this point is very important. The library has an EndNote, and we have, I think there's another one, Mendeley, just to assist you to manage your resources and your articles that you're going to be reading. You browse articles related to your topic, and you use the librarian already at this stage. The faculty has a librarian. She's going to be presenting. She's very helpful. I know I've emailed her at 12 o'clock at night, and the following day she's responded, maybe say, I'm having a difficulty accessing this article. I see that I don't have access to it, but I really do want to read it. Best believe that she'll find that article for you. So at this stage already, you already make connection and you contact your faculty librarian to assist you with sourcing articles and literature for your topic. And within that 5, you already need to finalize your topic within that 1 month of you registering. And we've got ICT services available if you ever need any like softwares, things such as softwares and anything. There are softwares that are available for free. And I think let me not go into details, just to, I think it's 2:15, so we might need to break. We will send this to the students, and you can navigate around the plan and, you know, with your supervisor, see which activities, additional activities that you might need to consider. But also it's a flexible plan, but it will, at least if you know that this has been completed within a certain time frame, then it will assist you. I just wanted to highlight, for example, with the within 3 months of registration where you are doing your methodology, we have a faculty biostatistician, Dr. Wilbert Sibanda. All of our students, if you are doing a quantitative research, please do consult with him. He is very, very, very helpful, and we actually prefer that by the time you submit your application to FPGSC, you have you have consulted with Dr. Sibanda. He will assist you with sample sizes, calculations, any statistical analysis tools that you need. He will assist you with that. But also just note that there is an ethics training that is required for the students and the supervisor. So when you are submitting your ethics application, there will be a section that asks you to list any ethics training certificates that you have, or whether your supervisor has received an ethics training. I'm not sure if it's still on board, but I think in the next semester, the Research Directorate would provide the training for students. But this is something that you can also do on your own. On the TREE website, it's a free ethics training online. You can register and do that. The training is valid for 3 years, and then after 3 years, you can renew that training. I think I will end here, but I will just ask, I will send the slides to Berthlin, and I'll ask her to share with the participants. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Kimbeka. Much appreciated. That is the end of this session. We've gone half an hour over time. I do apologize. There's a 5-minute break, guys, for the next session so that we can keep track of, and I'll be handing over to the next chairperson, Mr. Douglas. And yeah, enjoy the rest of the workshop. Thank you.